to work around like 9:50 a.m. Well, around like 9:30, 9:40 because they changed the times up because of basically peak season and stuff like that. So I got there around like 9:30, 9:40, loaded up our vans around like 9:50 and headed out to deliver packages. So I was out literally ever since then up until the point I came back to the warehouse, which is I do want to say around like um 10, I'll say 5 minutes after the storm has passed and hit the warehouse. So by the time that I came, the police was everywhere. The building was already torn apart and they had us wait.
Tell us about what you saw. What did you see when you pulled up? Like the building itself.
So the front corner of the building was still intact, but the back corner of the building onto the right side was caved in. So I waited in my van around like 30 minutes and then they told us to come inside into like a tornado shelter area. And from the tornado shelter area, you could kind of see into the warehouse. So from the position I was in, the back corner where I usually check in and grab my bag and stuff like that, keys for the van, all that was caved in. It was a bathroom over there. So that bathroom was gone. So that was gone. 10, 15 minutes later, they told us they was going to take us to the Pontoon Beach PD police station. And I was going basically just trying to go to my car. So they let some people who was in the front area, and I thought they was talking about the back area as well, but they didn't. So when I went around to the back area, that was completely destroyed. It looked like somebody just blew out the whole back area. It was debris all across the lake. The power lines was down. Majority of the cars, some of the Amazon vans was close to the lake, like it was about to fall in there. And it was just completely destroyed.
If we don't have an idea of what everything in Amazon is, what is that usually? What that area is? What are y'all? What's in there, or what are workers doing in there?
It's basically like it's a complete warehouse. A complete warehouse is filled with many packages and many vans. The back area that was mainly destroyed, that's is where many of the vans are parked at when we start or when we drop them off. So it's an area of where all the vans is parked, and then it's another section to where we drive into to get our packages that we load up for the day and deliver out to. So the staging area, the packaging area was completely destroyed. The windows was busted out. The garage door was open and all that stuff. And the area of where the vans had parked, that was completely destroyed as well. The roof caved in. There was a lot of debris everywhere. Usually on a regular shift, this is somewhat the start of peak season, so you would start to see more people to be in there. But around the time that accident took place, it's not as many people as it used to be throughout the day. So I would say it probably was like 30 or 40 people that was in there. I'm not too sure. Excuse me. It all depends on who came in and who went home, because everybody leaves and goes in there at different times. And then plus it's also I want to say two different companies that works in the same warehouse. So for our company, we just deal strictly with picking up packages and dropping them off and dropping off the van. So it's not too many of our people that was in there. Thank God most of them left home, but some like me that came at the time that did, we just had to really wait it out and stuff like that.
Yeah, you were telling me when you got there, they put you right away into a shelter location, right?
We actually waited about like 10, 15 minutes. And then the only reason why they moved us into the shelter is because they was talking about it was another tornado that was supposed to come.
Tell us about what's some of the guidance that you've gotten so far. I know you said that they're still trying to work this out. We did get a statement from Amazon, but have you all gotten any sort of guidance what might be happening? Or, those are your fellow coworkers, so I can imagine y'all are curious of what's going on yourselves.
Yeah, so I talked to one of my dispatchers. He's still confused as well. So he don't even know about anything. For one, if we're supposed to still clock in, if we're gonna be paid while this time is happening. We don't know about our vehicles. We still haven't heard nothing about the vehicles that was in the back during the wreckage. We don't know nothing.
You were talking about your car? I think your mom was saying you're trying to get your car out. I mean, was your car destroyed, or I'm assuming multiple cars are destroyed?
I want to say I could say some were destroyed, but the area of my car was in, that's where the firefighters and the construction workers was trying to get all the debris left over. I'm pretty sure my car was hit during the tornado, but I'm not too sure. I wasn't even able to see my car.
You know, you got there, you know, missed it by maybe 5, 10 minutes. I mean, is that kind of wild to think that you potentially missed the storm that has potentially injured, you know, several people?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my stepdad about that on the way back because I actually drove to a route that I had already completed that took 20 minutes to get there. If I would have used that 20 minutes to go straight back to the warehouse, I probably would have been one of those, you know, inside it while it was happening, or I could have been, you know, a victim of anything. So,
It's
yeah.
crazy. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, what emotions are you feeling right now? You know, we don't know. We have nothing confirmed of potential fatalities yet, but there may be some. I mean, it is pretty crazy. A location that you work that this happened. I mean, any type of emotions or anything else you want to add?
Is pretty much still like disbelief because some of the people that is in there or that was trapped in there, you talk to them or you could have, you know, dealt with them while it was helping you dealing with packages. So um me knowing faces, I'm not really too well of knowing faces or anything like that. So it's like hearing the names that was listed off as they was trying to get a head count and the people that was missing, it's like you just don't even know who was still in there or who had passed. So it's kind of like it's a lot of disbelief or you're not really taking it in.
Video from a viewer that they sent us, the same tornado at the Amazon warehouse. You can see right there how powerful it was to collapse the warehouse. We do have live
searching for right now. Here's a look at some of the efforts going on right now, and heavy machinery has been going into over there where the work is taking place all morning long as they continue to dig through the rubble. You see the roof ripped off right there. You see that wall that's no longer there, as you can obviously see into the building. And so that was about the length of a football field. So a lot of debris still very much lies that we need to get to save. So as we take a closer look at some of the things going on here, we know about 30 people have been safely reunited with family. At least one person been severely injured. They had to be flown overnight to St. Louis area hospital. You know, at least 2 people have been found deceased. That's the bad news, and hopefully those are the only 2 according to first responders. And this is happening at the Edwardsville plant, and we were talking with the worker here. They say that it actually not too many packages are inside of here. This is more of a place where they load up the trucks and they can be taken off to the various neighborhoods throughout the St. Louis area. Police say it's actually a little bit hard to track everybody because obviously some people have been rescued, other people left on their own volition, so they guesstimate roughly 50 people were in the building at the time, but they're still trying to confirm those details, obviously, as this effort continues. Damage concentrated on the southern part of the building where that wreckage was going on. The wall is missing, that roof was ripped off, a lot of debris. Utilities have actually been cut off inside to just help first responders be able to better dig. And
as I said, I'm just keeping everybody in my prayers. So, you know, it's we're concerned for everyone. So just say prayers. You know,
Right now, we're looking at it as a weather-related event. I'm not going to speculate that anybody did anything wrong.
if you're looking to be reunited with loved ones, here's a
All right, thanks, Ryan. I'm sure a lot of prayer is going to be going out tonight. Take a look. This is actually some video from inside that facility back in 2017 when it opened. You can see just how tall the walls are there with so much equipment, so much going on. We're told that this facility is about 700,000 square feet, and most of the damage was sustained on the south side of that building. Over
the hillside back there, my photographer Kira is going to zoom in on that and give us a live look. This is a result of the storm system that moved through this area here. You can see now sweeping to the south at this intersection, Highway 94 and F, there is significant damage here. Many homes are damaged. Trees have been sheared off. We know that many of the residents here have stepped outside and in the light of day are beginning to survey how much damage they have here. Utility crews have arrived and begun what is bound to be the very complicated task of untangling all this and restoring some power for these people. Again, light of day shows the extent of some of the damage here in St. Charles. Queued up regarding damage at another location now. This is the damage left behind of a roof collapse at a home on Red Barn Lane. This also happened about 7:50 last night. Now, we spoke with the homeowner's sister, who said they received the alerts about 15 minutes before the storm hit.
On the cellar, they'd pry themselves out, but otherwise, you know, they have a daughter down there, a dog. They got everybody down there safe. So if they would have stayed inside the house, they probably wouldn't be with us right now.
That was Jesse Dingledine talking about the damage from last night's storm. About an hour later, another home on F had the roof blown off. Again, we're told one person died here in this vicinity last night from tornado damage, and at least 3 people were transported to the hospitals. Law enforcement is on the scene here.
Continue following breaking news from overnight. Deadly storms hitting on both sides of the river and the entire Midwest. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the Amazon warehouse in Edwardsville partially collapsed, and new this morning we have confirmed at least 2 workers are dead. On the right, that is damage in St. Charles County, where 1 person is confirmed dead this morning. We start this morning in Edwardsville. All night long, emergency crews have been at the site of the Amazon warehouse collapse. This is just off 255 north of 270.
I'll step out of the way. You can see what we think is the front of the building, all of that damage and all of the crews that are here still working. There's also extensive damage to the back of the building. We are about southwest of Edwardsville, right where 255 crosses 270. And all of these agencies, this happened last night at 8:30, so they have been out here. We're going on almost 12 hours now. And as you said in that press conference we had a few hours ago, they did confirm that at least 2 people have died. The Edwardsville police chief in that press conference says that there are challenges right now to know how many people are missing, because he said Amazon does not have a set staff. So he's working with Amazon to get a list of names for the search to continue. They said that they have reached out to the governor and they have been approved assistance for the next several days. We do know overnight a bus was able to take some workers to the Pontoon Beach Police Department to reunite some of those people with their families, but there are still people missing and several obstacles this morning for these crews out here.
Some of the obstacles that we faced, our first responders have faced since the beginning of this. Initially, there was large amount of a water issue there because of the fire suppression system, as well as power lines that needed to be secured before first responders could actually get into the rubble. Ameren responded and was able to secure those items, and then we had to also request additional assistance from other companies to secure the concrete and the structure there to make it safe for the first responders to go into the site and conduct their searches and their rescues.
And so, as I said, this happened last night at 8:30 when it was dark. So just in the last hour, they're getting their first real look at this damage. And it's the same for us. We've had crews out here all night, and we're just now that the sun is up
this morning, as family members who have loved ones that were inside the facility were lined on the outskirts of the warehouse, waiting to hear on the conditions of their loved ones and being as much support for each other as they could. And just moments ago, I was out here, and an Amazon driver contractor pulled up. He says he was driving the same route as the tornado passed. He passed by the facility on his delivery, but said after his delivery, he felt compelled to come back and help out.
Issue within the last hour, Amazon says, quote, "Our thoughts, prayers, and deepest sympathies are with the victims, their loved ones, and everyone impacted. This is a devastating tragedy for our Amazon family, and our focus is on supporting our employees and partners," end quote. And from Governor JB Pritzker last night, quote, "My prayers are with the people of Edwardsville tonight And I've reached out to the mayor to provide any needed state resources. Our Illinois State Police and Ready Illinois are both coordinating closely with local officials, and I will continue to monitor the situation, end quote.
My name is Art Risby, and I'm the mayor of Edwardsville. At this time, I'm asking for you to keep those affected by this tragedy in your thoughts and prayers. The governor called me directly and offered to provide all necessary state resources to assist us in search and rescue. This will be ongoing for the next several days. I appreciate your patience, and we will continue to release information as it becomes available. Now I would like to introduce our police chief, Michael Philback.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to kind of cover briefly what our press release stated, try to answer a few questions that we can. So on December 10th, Friday evening at approximately 8:33 p.m., we had a significant weather event that occurred down in our enterprise zone. One of our Amazon warehouses experienced a major structural damage. We do at this time are able to confirm that we have more than one fatality at that location. The Edwardsville Fire Department, the Edwardsville Police Department, among numerous other departments throughout this area, both police, fire, and EMS responded to this location. It's been an ongoing scene since that time. It's had challenges in trying to develop information on to know how many people we actually had at that facility at the time because it's not a set staff. So Amazon management is there, they're assisting, they're helping us create a list to identify individuals that are accounted for or not. The Madison County Transit Department assisted us earlier in the evening with transporting some of the individuals, the workers there, to a safe location to reunite them with their families at the Pontoon Beach Police Department and help us gather information on if they were there working and anyone that they knew that might have been missing or unaccounted for. So it's still again, our fire department, among other fire departments, are still there. We're using a lot of heavy equipment is involved as well. Construction companies are assisting them in being able to secure that scene. Some of the obstacles that we faced, our first responders have faced since the beginning of this. Initially, there was a large amount of water issue there because of the fire suppression system, as well as power lines that needed to be secured before first responders could actually get into the rubble. Ameren responded and was able to secure those items, and then we had to also request additional assistance from other companies to secure the concrete and the structure there to make it safe for the first responders to go into the site and conduct their searches and their rescues. One individual, I can confirm two, was transported by helicopter to a St. Louis area hospital. I do not know which one, and I do not know the extent of that individual's injuries. There were a few other minor injuries that I was aware of, but they were not transported. So at this point, it's still, like I said, an active scene. Chief James Weifert of the Edwardsville Fire Department is the on-scene commander. Later today, we hope to send out a press release to do an update press conference as well. It will probably occur this afternoon. Once we have more information, we can make sure that anyone that any fatalities, their family, their loved ones were properly notified before we can release any of that information at this time.
Chief, do you know how many people were transported by bus to Pontoon Beach?
Somewhere in the area of 30, I believe, were transported by bus.
So 30 got out, 2 hospitalized, and more than 1 dead? 1
was transported to the hospital. As far as the other injuries, were not hospitalized as far as that I'm aware of.
as far as fatalities, like I said, we can confirm that there's one. There's more than one. There's at least two at this point. So we're working again to ensure that the families are notified and everything before we release that information.
Chief, do you believe there are still people trapped in the rubble who you are trying to reach? Do you hear anything? Is there anything that makes you believe there's still people in there who can be rescued?
At this point, I do not know what the fire department is hearing, if anything. I know that they're still working the scene and treating it as you know, search and rescue efforts. So.
And you spoke to this a little bit earlier, but what are they dealing with out there? Is there just feet and feet of rubble upon rubble in that structure? Or what is that scene like?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, for those that haven't been down in that area already, there's a lot of debris from the concrete that is predominantly a concrete and steel structure. So you have concrete and you have things hanging. It's quite windy outside, so things are unstable. So they have to shore those things up so that they can be safe.
So the 30 who were transported by bus were able to get out on their own?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have 30 by bus, at least more than one deceased, and one hospitalized, and you said you had 2 other minor injuries who were not transported, is that correct?
As far as the amount of minor injuries, I don't know the number of those. I just heard that there were a few. Okay. So when I say a few, that could be 2, it could be 3.
Okay.
I don't know the extent of.
How many workers do you estimate were in the building originally?
Again, we're trying to work with Amazon and in gathering information from coworkers and such to get that. I would give the best guess at this point is somewhere around 50, but that's strictly a guess.
So if there were about 50, then we're looking for about 17 or so who might be unaccounted for?
Well, some of the people left from the scene. They weren't all transported by bus, so there were individuals that left from the scene.
So that's part of the challenge. You don't have a good count
Right.
at this point of how many people could be left in that building.
Right, and that's exactly right.
Okay.
If someone has a loved one who's unaccounted for, is there a number they should call? Who's handling the response to relatives?
So we have been receiving phone calls if you don't know if your loved one worked there and you don't know, you can call the Edwardsville Police Department. We'll take the information. We'll work with the fire department and Red Cross to try to get that information and get back to you as to where your loved one is.
Chief, do you believe this was a tornado that moved through there? I mean, I know there was this touchdown. Do we think it was a tornado that hit that building? Could it have been some other kind of significant weather event? What's your thought at this point?
Yeah, I think that we can all look at it and say it was a very severe weather event. The National Weather Service, to my knowledge, hasn't released what they deem it to be. So I'll kind of leave that to them, but it was definitely a weather-related a storm that came through that caused this incident.
Chief, on the human level of this has got to be, and then you can speak to it, the mayor, both of you, this has got to be a tough one for you guys to swallow here. This is rough on your community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of people that are touched by this. Again, our prayers are, concerns go out to those directly affected, but then we have first responders and that too that are dealing with this, and we will make sure that we provide them, ongoing support for these things so that when something like this happens in the future, that they'll be there to do their job.
Do you know what the Amazon policy was with workers for a tornado warning? Were they told to take shelter, or what was the policy?
Yeah, I don't know what Amazon's direct policy is on that. I'd leave it to them to answer what their policy is. Typically, all the warehouses down there have a policy on what to do in those situations, but I don't know. I'll leave it to them to speak for what they do exactly.
Going back to what it looked like on the ground, was the damage concentrated in a certain part of the building, or was it just complete kind of overall?
It looks like a good portion of the southern portion of the building was destroyed. So.
And was it a situation where a lot of boxes tumbled off of shelves, or what does that south side of the building look like?
It's another disaster. It looks like everything blew through there.
Was there a lot of shelving with products stacked up to the ceiling?
You know, I don't know what that typically looks like, so it's...
Well, we're coming up on 6 o'clock, and the mayor said this could be a days-long rescue effort. What do you expect in the hours ahead with the sun up? What's going to be happening today? What do you
So our first responders down there will continue to work this scene until everyone's accounted for, and there's, you know, there's still power lines down in that area. Not everything is secure. So, again, we would ask that, you know, if you go down there, stick to that roadway, take your pictures, but don't try to go around the building such, because we don't know if it's safe for you to do so. So this will be an ongoing effort, like I said, to make sure that we account for everyone, that we don't leave anybody behind. And, you know, that may take the rest of the morning, it may take the rest of the day, it may take 2 days. I do not know that answer at this point.
So at this point, it's too early to tell when you transition from search and rescue into search and recovery?
Yep. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll take 2 more questions, and I think we'll need to wrap it up. We will plan on doing a press release later today. Chief Weifert will participate in that press conference, and we'll give you plenty of notice, but then that way he can give you hopefully a better update on some of the things that are going on. Yes, ma'am.
If procedures weren't followed by Amazon management, could there be a criminal investigation?
At this point, this year is right now, we're looking at it as a weather-related event. I'm not going to speculate that anybody did anything wrong. So if that was the case, I mean, obviously it may turn into something else, but at this point, I have no reason to believe that anybody did anything other than a weather event, that there wasn't much that they could have done from the looks of it. So.
Chief, do you have any idea at this point how long before this hit that those workers could have had time to take cover? Do we have any idea of how, like when they got perhaps a warning and then when it happened?
No, I don't have that answer for you at this point.
And Mayor, would you mind speaking of just the impact on your community, please?
Okay. Is that all for me at this point?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Now we're going to wrap it up here when the mayor's finished. Well,
We have a tight-knit community, so it's, you know, as I said, I'm just keeping everybody in my prayers. So, you know, it's, we're concerned for everyone. So, thank you.
What's your message to your community, Mayor?
Just say prayers. You know, and just concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.